Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry. If you're not sober or you're not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, a good bit of nonsense. My name is Shawn and I am your host. I'm joined today just by two of my fellow trudgers. I got Corey and Greg here with me. Bill is MIA. He's at a Kid Rock concert. He may or may not call in at some point. That'll be very interesting if he does. You can check out new episodes of Trudge Report every Tuesday. Please listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Later every week, you can watch our episodes on YouTube and Facebook, but please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle at Trudge Report Pod. We need your support. Special shout out to Miss Janine Stella and Stella Mix Podcast Management, our wonderful producer and editor. Corey, let's start with you. How are you tonight? Where are you? Are you at a new undisclosed? We see some wood paneling in the background. What's going on, Corey?
I just installed that in my house, Shawn. Nothing's different. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm visiting extendedly some friends up in Minnesota. And they have wood paneling on the walls.
Minnesota,
here.
eh?
Yeah. Actually, I've met no one that talks like that yet. Like heavily, at least.
You got to go further north.
Maybe I'm not in Minnesota. I don't know for a fact where I'm at.
You just got off a plane and they told you it was Minnesota. You could be anywhere.
Oh
you could be in the Matrix.
But I'll tell you one thing. Is this an around the horn right now? Is this what we're doing? Is this it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay,
keep
good.
it brief, but go for it.
Yeah, sure. I just had Greg. I just had Qdoba. If you don't know what Qdoba is,
yeah.
It is Mexican cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't great, but that's okay because nostalgia made it great. So, first time I had that I was like 10 years old in Colorado, and then I had it sporadically throughout my life anytime I go to Pennsylvania. And then the last time I had it was in the Seattle airport with Greg. Coming back from our Labor Day weekend at the Gorge, but so it sucked, but it's fine. I don't have to do it again. But yeah, I'm in Minnesota and doing some work.
Can we ask what you're doing in Minnesota, or is that top secret and classified?
It's not that classified. But I'm doing some work with my buddy Corey. Is how I put it, I guess. And
with our Trudge Report sponsor, Kohler Construction.
That's him.
Yeah, there you go.
He's the guy.
I was trying to tee you up there, Corey. Thank you, Greg.
Well, he didn't pay for this one, so I'm not advertising shit for him. And yeah, so it's been good. I will. The last thing I'll say is that I did pretty swiftly get back to the gym upon landing here, and that was a good decision on my part. I had one killer workout, then the next day I had a really bad workout, and then the next day I had a kind of bad workout, and the next day I skipped. But then I had another good workout, and it made it all worth it. And honestly, the gun show is coming through because I'm starting to notice some difference. I'm harder. Take that how you will. So
I'm glad the gun show is supporting you in that area.
Yes. Yeah. He's been great.
Real quick, I'll go next because I want to get this out there real quick. So I am at a new undisclosed location, but I'm going to disclose it. I am in the closet in my bedroom. I have family in town from Pennsylvania, and the house that they are staying in the neighboring town, their Airbnb for the month, the air conditioner in the house went out, and it is very hot in South Florida this time of year. So everyone is now over here at my house. They're all out there in the living room, the kitchen, and dining room and doing their thing. So I want to say in advance, I apologize if anyone hears any background noise. My kids are loud. Everybody's loud. They're having a great time. I love having them here. Wouldn't trade it for the world, but I just want to
you're in the closet.
And I'm in the closet. So take that as you will.
Well,
Corey's hard and I'm in the closet. And I'm sure Greg's got something for us.
We love you no matter who you are, Shawn.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. I'm real quick. I went on a 6-day golf trip with my dad and a bunch of his college friends and a bunch of people to Pinehurst, North Carolina. Anybody out there listening that knows anything about golf, you may have heard of Pinehurst. It's one of the foremost golf destinations in this country. probably top 10 to 15 golf destinations in the world. That's how iconic it is. It was an awesome trip. I played so much golf, had a great time. Just like for any golf nerds out there that may be listening, the courses there, like I haven't even dreamed of these in my dreams. They are that elevation, just all kinds of the scale of them, the architecture. We played one that was built in 1906 in North Carolina, one of the oldest ones in the country. Just an awesome time for any golf nerds or golf enthusiasts. It was legitimately heaven on earth. So I'm happy to be back in the swing of things. Happy to be here with my boys at our regularly scheduled day and time. It is nice to be back on schedule. We're flying solo tonight. Bill's at the concert. Miss Janine's at an MMA fight or a UFC fight or something with Don King and company, and she gave us the reins. So watch out. Over to you, Greg.
Well, thank you guys. It's good to see you guys and kind of back to reality here after 2 weeks of studio live episodes. So that was cool. I couldn't help but think my morbid brain when we said that Bill wasn't going to be with us tonight is prime opportunity to just say Bill's no longer with us, and then extended pause, and then because he's at a Kid Rock concert. But yeah, I am currently more bricked up than Bill will be when Ball with the Ball comes on. So there's that. But yeah, good to be back, man. Had a great time coming down to Florida and seeing you guys. That's 2 weeks ago now, but yeah, it was an excellent time. It was a quick weekend for me, but we made the best of it, and what an awesome experience to film live in the studio, and then the Dave shows were awesome. I do want to give our listeners just a little insight into what night 2 at Dave Matthews Band was like, because we got rained out for a second. Not really rained out because it didn't really rain on us, but there was like some inclement weather in the middle of the show. So like 9 songs in, he stops. He says, "Guys, I'm sorry. We gotta go, or at least we gotta leave the stage for right now." So they made this announcement that everybody had to stay in the pavilion that was in the pavilion, but all of us that were out on the lawn, they wanted us to go back to our cars. And I don't want to do that. So like literally, what would you say, Shawn? Like 2/3 of the lawn probably vacated, right?
2/3, not only 2/3 of the lawn, but 2/3 of the 3 people on this podcast totally didn't listen. One of us did. Guess which one? Back to you.
Yeah, I didn't stay sober 8 years by not doing what the fuck I was told. Look, I did it. I cussed.
There's some rules. Hey, I think Matchbox 20 said it. Some rules are made to be broken. Maybe it was Goo Goo Dolls. Who knows?
All I know is for about approximately an hour, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter, we kind of just wandered around the venue, going from place to place that we would be kicked out and shooed away from the staff. And it was great. Shawn was very unhinged and just persistent. I'm not fucking leaving, and
real Wolf of I Think amphitheater.
And you know what? Persistence paid off, because Dave did come back on. Yes, we got much better spots on the lawn because everybody had left. And it was a rager to close out the show.
I thought that might be a party foul, but it turned out fine.
What?
Moving up on the lawn.
Oh yeah, no, it was perfect. It was perfect.
I think everybody probably did that.
And a great end to the show.
For sure.
Yeah.
Last
maybe like not in my top 5 of shows that I've ever been to as far as like hitting all the metrics, but definitely a top 5 experience. It's always a good time to hang out with my boys and the shenanigans that ensue.
Just the fact that there was a possibility of it getting completely canceled and no more, and then he came back and we were still there, that made it like epic.
Well, and the best part is like Shawn's got his, so everybody's like looking at their weather apps on their phone, and Shawn's got this like high-tech sophisticated golf weather app. He's like, it's only going to be red for 5 minutes here. We're only going to be in the red for 5. Meanwhile, like lightning's literally just striking all around us. We're fine. It's going to be fine. And sure enough, it was. So yeah, pretty awesome.
We got Last Stop.
Yeah.
We did.
That's good stuff.
We did. Yeah. So
Not Halloween though.
and yeah, now I'm back to reality. But I am pumped. My mom and stepdad left a few days ago to head out west to pick up my niece and nephew. So they are inbound or will be inbound sometime in the next week or so. And yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun summer hanging with the kids. So
Very cool. Safe
That'll be
travels
fun.
to all of them.
mm-hmm.
So, all right, boys. Shall we get right into it? Everybody good?
Oh yeah.
All right. So we are back. Investigative journalism. Not really, but we are back with a very important topic. A topic that maybe not everyone, but a good amount of people have to deal with in their day in and day out lives. And that is homeowners associations, boys. We're going to talk some HOAs today. The episode of Seinfeld, Del Boca Vista, is always coming back to me during this time. But Greg's going to kick us off, and then we're going to go Corey, and I'm going to play kind of student, ask questions, and just probably say some nonsense. So the floor is yours, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you very much. And I will say that Corey will come from a much more fact-based portion of this, where I did try to gather some facts, but most of this is just my opinion. I did want to start this out by just a couple things that I did, in fact, get off of. I will name my sources, Forbes.com, for this. But currently, as of January 2024, the average price of a home in the United States is $412,000. In Ohio, it is $227,000. In Pennsylvania, $266,000. Somehow, oddly enough, the as some would say, the armpit of America, Corey's alma mater, New Jersey, $512,908 is the average price of a home. Which, having been there, I will say New Jersey does have some. There are some very beautiful parts of New Jersey.
But that's not even where that price is coming from. Most of
right. Florida, $479,000. And then to break it down a little bit more specifically, Martin County, Florida, average price of a home, $462,000. The average cost of a one-bedroom apartment or condo or whatever in Martin County is $1,406 a month. St. Lucie, $400,000 for a house, $2,450 for a monthly rent. And Miami-Dade County, $555,000 is the average price of a home, and the average rent is $3,700 per month, right? And we all know
that's insane. That's insane.
Nuts.
All of
it's
it.
Nuts.
Every bit of it.
And this is what I tell people is like, that 227,000 in Ohio, okay, and I know because I see it every day, will get you a decent 4-bedroom, 2, sometimes 3-level house, and what $400,000 will get you in areas of Florida is what would you say, 1,900 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, all one level. Might be sharing a wall with another person or another family, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. So, but I wanted to preface all that by saying, but just to start out this conversation is that's what people are out there paying for homes right now in the United States. And even more so, you think about it too, is, not necessarily people like us who maybe wrecked our early mid late 20s and had to build that back. But I think about people that are like just normal straight up people, like go to college, graduate college, probably with if they're lucky, only minimal debt, or if they're like most people, a nice sum of debt, and then they struggle to find a job right out of college, maybe get married or want to get married to their spouse or whatever. And then like to think about that, if an average home price is $400,000, like even if you've got good credit, that means you got to come up with 40 grand cash in most scenarios. And then the monthly mortgage on top of that, and just everything that goes into buying a home nowadays. So, yeah. And then if you're, find a home in a community where you're lucky enough to have a wonderful HOA, here are some things that you may end up dealing with, right? And a disclaimer before I start, if you are offended by anything I say, maybe you need to take a good, long, hard look at yourself, okay? Because if you're one of these Karens or Kens, maybe you should think about changing your behavior. I don't know, but here are some common complaints from what I gathered from a lot of people and some from some personal experiences. I never had any experiences with living in an HOA until I lived in Florida. And the place where I moved into, it was a 2-bedroom condo. It was very much like an apartment, but it was a condo run by an HOA. And I will say, like, we got left alone for the most part, but there was always stuff about we would get bitched at for, like, I lived on the second floor, all right, of the second floor condo, and the dumpsters, there was no dumpsters right outside the house. So, like, we literally had to walk clear to the other end of the complex, right? We're talking about maybe a quarter-mile walk to the end of the complex to take trash. So, like, there were times where I would set my trash out on the porch, the elevated porch. You couldn't see it from the street. And maybe it was out there 30 minutes, maybe, before, while I was gathering other stuff up, and I would get complaints about this. Like, they would call the landlords would call me. We'd go through a whole thing. They're gonna fine you if they find us, we're gonna fine you, and all this, and it's just crazy. But yeah, some common complaints about homeowners associations: parking of vehicles, the color of your home, the landscaping and the grass, trash, as I've already mentioned, trash cans, another huge one, noise complaints, all that kind of stuff. It seems a little excessive. There are some upsides to some of this, right? And it's, I get that the homeowners associations are around to preserve the community, right? And to preserve the values of homes and not let things get out of hand. But, Darlene, you got to fucking worry about something other than what, color my shutters are. You know what I'm saying? If I've, again, paid $400,000-$500,000 for a home, the last thing I want is somebody to be telling me what color I can paint it, what color I can paint my front door, how long my grass can or cannot be, why or why not I might be able to park my vehicle in my driveway, or it has to be in my garage. Living in Florida, that was another thing too. A buddy of mine with his trash, so, like, he got in trouble and got fined for keeping his trash outside of his garage behind a privacy fence, right? How does that make any fucking sense? It's Florida. It's 100 degrees inside a garage, and you want trash rotting so that your home smells like trash for 6 days out of the week? No, thank you. But yeah, and so cruising around on different sites and just a couple things that I found that were like personal stories. And again, this is coming off the internet. I don't know how true it all is, but from some of the things that I saw and experienced, especially while living in Florida, I will say that probably not too far off, right? One gentleman was fined $250 because he was walking his dog in the morning, and dog walking was not allowed prior to 6 a.m. Another, I thought this one was good, requiring residents to hire a professional company to put up Christmas decorations at Christmas time. And because the house did not have Christmas decorations hung professionally or Christmas decorations at all, they were fined $500. Turns out that family was Jewish, right? And didn't want to pay the money to have a professional company come in, but yeah, so they got waxed for 500. Another gentleman fined $500 for being seen outside wearing camo. The camo was part of his work uniform, but the HOA president was seriously anti-government, anti-war, and anti-military. Another story, fined $250 for not joining in on the block party. Fined $50 for not watering my lawn regularly in a drought where the city would fine you for watering your lawn. So that makes a lot of sense. Fined $400 for parking in front of my house, no matter that it wasn't my car, but it was the neighbor's, but I was fined just the same because it was parked in front of my house. Fined $100 for an unwanted display in front of the home. That display was a plastic jack-o'-lantern during Halloween. Fined $50 for putting up black curtains because of the HOA compliance person that would go around and look in this person's windows. And this person said, like, they actually took revenge on it because they then reported that person. The reason they hung the black curtains up is because the person kept looking, and so like coming in, looking in their windows, looking at all their stuff. So they said they called the cops on them and filed a report saying that they were staring in the windows at their daughter, and that then they said the compliance officer never came back again. Right. Fined $50 for putting up an electric dog fence. Fined $100 for calling the police on a neighbor for beating his wife. Just the list goes on and on and on, right? But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the level of pettiness that goes on at some of these places. I don't understand the need to be in people's business to this degree. I like living in the neighborhood I live in. It's cool, it's quiet, but damn it, if I want to hang a Cleveland Browns flag up next to my American flag, nobody says shit to me about it, right? If I want to let my grass grow out for an extra 2 weeks, and not that I do, but if it does, nobody's going to say shit to me about it. Everybody is cool around, like it's a family kind of neighborhood, so nobody's racing up and down the streets or anything like that. But everybody gets along. If there was an issue, I can remember one time ever having an issue here, and it was because I was running. I'm surrounded by trees, so in fall I have leaf Armageddon at my house every day. So I'm rocking that leaf blower like 6 days a week in the fall. And one night I was doing it a little too late. I got carried away, and so the neighbor just, all he did was ask me not to run it, and I was cool. Yeah, like, I'm sorry, he's like 90 and goes to sleep. Yeah, George has tapioca pudding and cottage cheese at 6:30 p.m. and he goes to bed, man. So I got to be a little wary of that.
Yeah, dude.
But
the hell's wrong with you?
I know it was a lapse in decorum is what we'll call that. So
yeah.
But yeah, man, everybody's cool, and I thought about that in the same context of, again, I understand the point of an HOA. I understand the point of keeping the value of homes in a neighborhood high. You want, especially for someone like, if you go and you buy a house and that might not be your forever home, but you want to be able to retain the value of it. I get it, but my God, man, all it takes is a quick video search on YouTube or pretty much anywhere, and there is just no end to the amount of videos of people and the stuff that they put their neighbors and their communities through. My favorites are the little old ladies on golf carts chasing down the Amazon driver, asking him for ID and why he's in there and what he's doing while he's driving a ginormous blue fucking truck that says Amazon across it, and he's got an Amazon vest on, and you're playing fucking private detective over here. You know,
It is the perfect cover, Greg. It's the perfect cover.
Yeah.
I guess, whatever, man. Just people, so yes, in summation, I guess, stop being so fucking petty. Mind your own business, Darlene. Okay. And kick
Darlene.
rocks. All right. On to you, gentlemen.
Darlene.
Very good. Yeah, very good. All right, so Corey's got some should I say some professional experience with this? Yeah, I think you do. So Corey's gonna maybe give it to us from a slightly different angle. Give it to me, Corey.
All right. Professional is surely a stretch. I do, as you guys know, of course, I do still work in the property management industry. I had a I hesitate to say much bigger role at my last company. But at least more like close to the people we're talking about, which is, the board members of 120 some associations, not all HOAs. I couldn't even begin, even though I've been in this industry for so long, can't really even begin to break down the different types of entities there are. But HOAs and POAs, which is Property Owners Association, I think it's pretty much the same thing. Maybe just a different way, just different phrasing, whatever. But then you have your condos, your mobile home parks, all that stuff. So they have different statutes. And that's about all I'll say about that, because that's all I can say intelligently about that. But there are differences, is what I want to say. Now, everything Greg's talking about, it comes down to what's known as the rules and regulations, which were allegedly voted on and passed whenever the HOA that we're talking about became incorporated back in 1985 or whenever it was. Whenever it became a thing, whenever it was turned to... Go ahead.
Wait. So question.
Yep.
Is this like a federal HOA that passed these laws, or is this...
No.
Are the rules and regulations specific to each individual community and each individual HOA, or is it state or county run, or what?
Each community will have its bylaws.
It'll have its bylaws. Now, they have to govern by the county, the state. Like the county and the state...
They have to be within that. Like,
they have to be within the parameters. Right.
They can't be breaking law. They can't be breaking city or state laws.
Yeah, like...
They have to... Their bylaws have to be within the city or county laws or whatever.
I'm pretty sure if anybody's listening to this next week and wants to look it up and tell me I'm wrong, that's fine. I'm pretty sure that the state of Florida says that an HOA board cannot assess more than a $25 late fee if you're late on your dues, your monthly dues or your quarterly dues, however. So, the HOA I live in or whatever, which I don't, but if I did and I was late on my bill, they can't charge me 35. They can't charge me 50. They got to charge me up to 25. That's the gist of it. The HOA has to operate within the parameters of the county and the state and so on. But yeah, what we're talking about here is, and it's HOAs get all the heat from the rules and regulations pretty much, because that's where the typical stereotype of, you can't have flags on your unit, you can't have political signs outside, you got to bring your trash cans in, you can't have work trucks in the driveway, garage has to be closed at night, whatever. That's where all of that comes from. And there may or may not be parameters on how much can be fined, those are known as violations. How much a board can fine for those violations, I'm not too sure on that. We can get into the article that you sent, Shawn, here in a minute. But so ultimately, why do people move into an HOA? Couple reasons. I actually pulled up a list and I agree with them. So one, the HOA is supposed to reduce your responsibilities. Many of them offer, lawn care, pesticide treatment or whatever. Is that insecticide treatment? Whatever. Whatever. They're going to do your hurricane cuts. They're going to take care of the neighborhood. A lot of it's like a uniform look. Appearances really is everything. Whether or not they'll say it, for lack of a better word or phrase, keep the riffraff out. People like me that have felonies, and stuff like that. They don't want me there, to some degree, I guess. Although I think that may have changed too, to be honest. They might provide amenities, the pool, the gym, whatever. They may even pay your baseline internet or cable. You know what I mean? That might be included in your HOA dues. So all that stuff it's fine. I mean, I guess if that's what you want, I mean, I'd like to not cut my own grass. Some of us don't cut our own grass, Shawn. But so that's nice for that to be included. Now, the thing is, anybody that's bitching about their HOA board or that they got fined or whatever, just like everywhere in life, you probably set the ball rolling. And guess when you did that? When you bought in an HOA. Okay? All this stuff is up front. You know what I mean? There's an interview process. You usually get read, at least most of the rules and regulations and stuff. The information's at your fingertips, basically. So you're agreeing to the stuff when you move in. I'm not sure, by the way, Greg. I heard you mention something about like keeping like home values high. And I logically that makes sense to me, but also I feel like if you look around in Florida, some of the like lower listings are in HOAs though, because they got to pay dues. You got to pay dues on top of your mortgage.
Right. No, I mean,
am I right?
Kind of like what you were talking about is like the appearance of everything, the uniformity of everything, like that will only help to increase your property value.
Right. Now, so here's the biggest thing I want to talk about real quick. I've tried to steer plenty of friends away from moving into an HOA because, well, not viciously or anything, but when they mentioned it, I'm like, I don't know. You want to know this first. Try to get a hold of the budget. Let's see how the finances have been managed, because that's going to affect the future for you. When you move into a community, you are agreeing to the fact that they can spring assessments on you. They're called special assessments. It is basically whenever they deem they need money. Not saying that not in my history, there's no fraud or anything going on. It's not illegal by any means. It's nothing like that. It's literally like, hey, let's say it's townhomes or something. Our roofs need to be redone. We don't have the reserves for it. They're gonna special assess the owners, and you are going to pay it
which
one way or another.
Which means what? That they're going to send people around the neighborhood to violate, to look for violations on everybody's property.
Well, no, I'm saying that they're going to send you a damn bill for $15,000.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Because everybody's roofs need redone.
Yes. Now they're going to offer you a payment plan. You know what I mean? It might be over the course of 5 years. That all depends. They work all that stuff out on the back end. But what I'm saying is,
but they hire the workers, they schedule it all, and say, hey, go fix this house, and then I get a bill in the mail or whatever that is.
Yeah, you're gonna get the bill. Now hopefully you have had a good board for the past 10, 20 years, whether it was different members or not, but hopefully everybody did their responsibility and managed the finances well, and that there's plenty of reserves. Plenty of money in reserves to do those kinds of things. But if there's not, special assessment is likely, and you're gonna pay it. You're not even going to move to get away from it, because that's got to get paid before you get paid. You know what I mean? When you sell. So to me, that's the biggest downfall, is that they're going to make sure they should make sure that it's that the property's going to be kept up, and you might pay for that. That's just a fact. Now, I will say, we didn't rant and rave about like all the typical like Karens and everything. By the way, Bill, I said it first. all the Karens and stuff in HOAs. We could go on and on with that, and I'm not even going to. We all know what that's like. We all know, what that neighbor's like. But I will say that I want to defend the boards real quick. So I've worked with a lot of board members. They get a lot of heat, and like I said, some of them may have not been doing their job. If they haven't been doing their job for the past 10 years, and you got to foot a bill because of it, yeah, I mean, I'd be mad too. But I will say that a lot of new board members that come on, they're elected annually, right? A lot of them stay on for so many years. I think there's a cap. But, man, the way a budget works in these communities is your income has to equal your expenses. It's a nonprofit, basically. They're not going to charge you more than what they need in theory. And all that information is, given to you too. You get to go to the budget meeting. You get to ask the questions like, hey, how come our lawn care has gone up by $20,000 this year? Did you bid it out? Those kind of things. In my experience, most of these guys are doing the best they can. They don't want their dues to go up either. They got to pay them too. That's just the way it is. That being said, there's like literally in my 7 years of doing this, I have 2 board members that I still remember that I like. The rest can kick rocks pretty much, but that's just because they probably wanted their financial on time and I didn't want to do it. But yeah, man, overall, I'll let you get into it, Shawn. I don't really know what else I could provide on the subject, other than none of my friends ever listened to me. And, here's the deal. Your dues are going to go up every year. Like, your mortgage insurance might go up and all that stuff too. I don't know how that goes, but I know for a fact that your dues are going to go up, especially in Florida. There's one insurance carrier in Florida today, for at least for that stuff, for HOAs and property like that. The rest have pulled out because we had a couple storms and they had to pay. And that's a whole nother subject. But so insurance is pretty much going through the roof for these guys. And we saw, man, when I was doing budget meetings with these guys, we saw increases of 300%. And people went nuts when their dues doubled, tripled, all, like, it's crazy. And that's the name of the game, man. I don't know, but that's what you get. If you want that pool and you want to keep the neighborhood friendly and you don't want to see a presidential sign on your neighbor's lawn because that just will drive you up a wall for some reason, what they're doing, then you get to pay the damn assessment. So, also, lastly, I'll end with this. It's not your property management company's fault either, bud. So don't call us with that shit. Thanks.
That last part sounded very personal, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to spend much time because I really don't have much. I scanned that article and it sounds like old Ronnie D put a nice bill into effect that limits some of those fines, I guess. Like, you can't, they put some stipulations in place where people can't be fined as regularly as they were. I'll say I own a home. It's crazy what Greg said in the beginning about the price of homes in Florida. My wife and I bought our home prior to everything skyrocketing, and legitimately the average, like, our home is about half of the average price right now. Like, we bought ours for like $235,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, garage, hurricane impact windows, metal roof, concrete block, a great home. And it was brand new. It was a brand new build. We bought it for $235,900 in October of 2019. And it's crazy to think, like, how much they've gone up. The good news for me is if I wanted to sell, I'd make bank on my house. But then, like, turning that around, unless I'm moving to an Ohio or someplace where I'm going to go buy something else that's going to be just as much money. So I'm really not, it's not apples to apples.
Right.
I personally, one of the factors in buying the home we did was no homeowners association. I did not want one. I've never lived in one. I don't want one. I do see that there are benefits of them. The cable, like, I went back and forth with Comcast cable many times over the years. recently switched to YouTube TV. Much, much better, but I'm still paying through the roof for my internet. I'll eventually switch probably that too, but I would love, in theory, to have my cable and my internet paid for. Now, I know it's basic cable, and I like a very specific cable lineup, but there are some good things. I do pay out of pocket not to cut my own grass. I will say, though, for the last month and for the next month, I will be cutting my own grass. I got sod laid in my yard, and I discontinued my lawn service until it's grown in enough to where they can start doing it again. But I did for the first couple of years. So there are definitely, I can see the benefits of it. I will say that it seems, and I know, Corey, your experience, like most of them, they have to pay the fine, they have to pay the dues as well. They're trying to keep it down for everyone for the most part, but I could see it could be a breeding ground for some corruption and some scandalous activity as well. I'm sure that's happened over the years where presidents and vice presidents of HOAs, the higher ups, have skimmed off the top, and I'm sure you can find those stories. I'm not saying it happens often or all the time, right? But I'm sure it's happened. So it's just one of those things, one of those necessary evils, if that's the type of community you want to live in. And there are people, plenty of people. It's obvious by the fact that the HOAs are everywhere. People want to live in those types of communities. I personally don't, and I don't care to, and I like my freedom. So that's it. You guys did a great job, though. That was good. That was good stuff.
There are certainly instances where the property manager, like, I've seen it at least once or twice where the property manager got their favorite contractor on a job and may or may not have received a sum of money because of that.
Sure.
And that is like highly illegal.
Well, in the real world, I was just going to say, not the real world. HOAs are the real world, but yeah, that's totally illegal in normal business, political, city government, county government arenas. So, very good, guys. So let's segueing into our recovery / spirituality segment, more recovery today. We want to talk about a topic that's something that the three of us, and Bill included, the four of us, and many of our friends have talked about many, many times over and over through the years. But that is kind of this idea: what is sobriety to us? And if you guys don't mind, I'll kick it off, and then I'm going to just let you guys have the last two pieces and go ahead. Is that a question, Greg?
No, that was a little
you're
drum
saying,
roll.
Go ahead. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
So you guys can really take this in any direction you want. I know what we've talked about, and I'll just say for me, I am a drug addict and an alcoholic. So it's always been easy. I don't know if easy is the right word, but it's always been clear to me that I cannot touch any substance at all. Right. So obviously no alcohol, no illicit drugs. I can't smoke pot. I can't do, certain types of prescription medication. Like if I went to a doctor and got prescribed Xanax, like that's a relapse for me because I used to eat Xanax like they were going out of style. Right. I can't do Suboxone because I, number one, know a lot about Suboxone, and I for one, you're not sober. I'm sorry. I understand that it may be necessary in a very, very specific setting, medical setting, to get you weaned off of whatever you're on for that first week or two of detox. But that's it. I got to get off that stuff. And not only that, Suboxone makes you an emotional basket case. Like there's no way I can get the spiritual connection to stay sober. I would say the biggest thing we see is this whole California sober thing. It's bullshit. I'm not even afraid. Like, you guys know me, and I'm very careful with my words. You're not sober. If I'm trying to help you, or you're asking my opinion in recovery, if you're smoking pot, you're doing that kind of stuff, even prescriptions like gabapentin and stuff, like none of that to me is sober. I'm not telling anyone listening that they should immediately stop taking their medications at all. You should consult a doctor about that, and hopefully you've been completely honest with your doctor, and your doctor knows something about recovery and drug addiction. They can guide you in the right direction. I'm not telling anybody to get off their depression meds or their anxiety meds. That's not what I'm saying. For me, for Shawn, that's what sobriety means to me. No mood or mind. The hardest thing I do nowadays is I probably drink way too much coffee. And I know caffeine's a drug, et cetera, whatever. And I know nicotine's a drug. I don't smoke anymore or do dip or anything like that, but I did at one point. But I haven't robbed my mother's house for nicotine or caffeine ever in my life. So I'll leave it at that. That's what sobriety means to me. And I'll kick it over. Let's go back to Greg.
Thank you, Shawn. All right, so I think to preface, I just want to say if you are a heroin addict out there right now and you've got you didn't shove a needle in your arm today because you've been taking Suboxone or methadone, I'm proud of you. Keep going. If you have been using whatever's prescribed by a doctor so that you don't go smoke crack today, I'm proud of you. Keep going. We love you. But it's like Shawn was saying, like I know what that shit does to people, man. And I've seen it. I've seen it working in the treatment industry when I did. I've seen it all over the place the last 7-8 years, and look, we're in the middle of of a serious opioid epidemic. It's been going on in this country for a decade. People are dying at record rates, so there is a large blanket, if you will, that has been thrown on, and that's why there's the prevalence of treatment centers across the nation. It's why there's the prevalence of all these different types of drugs, maintenance drugs, if you will, across the nation. But you see, to me, and I know I sound like a broken record because I've said it so many times on this pod, but it is the absolute truth. It was impressed upon me from the very, very beginning that I am as free as I want to be. So how free do I want to be in this whole deal? Do I want to be able to live a life where I'm not scared of running out and getting high? It's not a thought in my brain. I can make it through the day and not think about what the old times were like, and not be scared to go through a certain part of town, not be scared to if I have a good reason to be there, like maybe I'm out with my girlfriend or something, we go meet some people at a bar or at a concert or wherever, and not, oh my God, I don't know how I'm not going to drink tonight. Like that's not the kind of freedom I want for myself. And look, if you're going through that in your own head, dude, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be trapped inside the confines of my skull. I certainly feel for you. And if it's really a point of contention with yourself, then maybe just you need to think about that, and maybe have some good long conversations with yourself and whatever you're doing. But again, for me, look, I got out of rehab and very quickly I thought about drinking. And I knew that I didn't want to, as badly as I wanted to get high, maybe at certain points along the way when I was in rehab. I knew that I had been brought to the bitter end with heroin, right? And with all the drugs that I did, the trash can kind of drug addict that I was. But I was certainly a couple weeks out of rehab, living in a halfway house. We've talked about this on the pod before, and I was coming unglued. I was coming out of my skin, right? And it was because, as I later found out, I was trying to solve a spiritual problem at its core with worldly things, and it just it never worked out. And and if I hate the little cliche sayings, but like literally, if I do take a look, people say that play the tape back, and for me that's not always necessarily, or not, it's not even possible, right? Because I can't sit in the shit that I was in 10 years ago, right? But I can certainly remember what a lot of those times were like. I can remember trying to detox myself. I can remember being like, oh, well, I'll just smoke weed and it's fine. And then always, even at the strongest part of my willpower, being like, I'm not going to go back to using heroin. I'm not doing this again. And there was a little bit of money in my pocket and it was over, all over again. So, for me, for the last 8 years, abstinence has worked. Abstinence was only the very tip of the iceberg in the beginning. There was a lot of stuff, and we've covered it over the course of the episodes of, there's a lot of work that I needed to do on myself. There's a lot of work I had to do with a mentor, and there was certainly a lot that I've had to do since then. Nowadays it's become the kind of stuff that I want to do. But again, I have friends of mine, very close friends I love very much, man, and they swear like they don't drink, or maybe they don't get high anymore, but they love to go out once a year and go do ayahuasca in the woods, and like, awesome, dude. If that works for you, if that's how if you're having some kind of white light spiritual experience doing that out in the woods, cool. Like, I appreciate you, and I hope that you're finding what you're looking for. And again, if you're on those maintenance drugs, and because you're early on in this deal, or you're a couple years in, and that's what you've been prescribed, and that's what's worked for you, and if you're starting to get things back in your life, like a job, and your family relationships, and your credit, and you're a roof over your head and a steady income, hey, good for you. I'm happy. But at the end of the day, when we talk about sobriety, we're talking about freedom from all of that, freedom from those worldly things. Like, no matter what, like, my life could be on fire and I'm still gonna be inherently okay as long as I stick to living on spiritual principles. So for me, that's what it is. Again, if anybody ever has any questions about that, and we're not trying to sit here and shit on anybody, what's worked for some will not work for all, and vice versa. But that's what's worked for a guy like me, and I'm blessed and happy because of it. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Greg. And you, Corey, real quick, you brought up a good point, Greg, because this is our experience, right? None of us have written any textbooks on recovery or have published any professional papers or anything like that. Yes, we've got some physical time together. We put some years together, but this is our experience. And you brought up a great point of, like, if you are content, and I don't mean any of us, but just in general, if a person is content taking Suboxone or being prescribed certain medications, or putting down all the alcohol and hard drugs, but just smoking pot, whatever, if they're content and they feel like their quality of life is good enough for them, then cool. That's great. That's fantastic. The only thing I would ask is, don't come into the rooms of recovery telling other people that they can do it that way too, because you might kill someone that way.
Yep.
However, if you are the alcoholic and the drug addict of the hopeless variety, like our recovery textbook talks about, and I know the two of you are as well, and same with Bill, many of our friends, then the only thing that worked for me, and Greg, you hit it too, and I imagine Corey's going to talk about it too, unless he's going to surprise us with that he's been getting high for the last few years, which is possible. No, the only thing that worked for me, like our book says, Greg, like one of our texts says, is entire abstinence. The main reason being, I cannot, an alcoholic of the hopeless variety, beyond human aid like I am, like we are, I cannot obtain and access the spiritual connection needed to keep me sober if I got any of that artificial stuff running through my veins, right? And one of our texts says, these allergic types, because I am allergic to alcohol and drugs, I have an allergy of the body coupled with the obsession of the mind. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. The guy that helped me, my mentor, told me to highlight that, underline it, right? Conference approved highlighter, and said, that means all types of drugs for you. He was talking to me specifically. That's my experience. I believe that. That's what I teach the guys that I work with.
Yep.
Corey, take it away, my friend.
Well, I was going to say one thing real quick, is just along with that is, again, as the time goes on in those kind of situations, man, it becomes something where, again, and if you're in early recovery and listening to us and wondering what it's like nowadays, it is, I don't even think about it. I literally don't even think about it, but if I were to start dibbling and dabbling, right? I'm the kind of guy, I'm like Shawn was just talking about, the hopeless guy. If I take a shot one weekend when I think nobody's looking, or if I get offered a joint at a concert and I hit a couple,
At a Dave Matthews concert.
I'm not saying that that very night I'm going to run out and go grab a needle, right? But I am definitely the kind of guy, I start to obsess in my mind, and it will not stop. And eventually because I've always eventually gone down that road where it's like, okay, let's let this bad boy rip, you know? And
the only thing we have to suggest is entire abstinence.
Yep.
And our recovery program teaches us how to have entire abstinence, because I certainly can't do it on my own.
Mm.
Take it away, Corey.
Well, I agree with you guys, I guess. All except for the part that we're not here to shit on people, because I'm about to. I'm just kidding. I'll leave them alone for the most part.
Let it rip.
Well, no, yeah, because there is some honesty to be had. I will second Greg's preface. Like, if all you got today is that you didn't shoot heroin because you're on a maintenance program, that's good. I'm for harm reduction to a degree. For the person that it's actually going to be successful for, this is where I get honest. I think the percentage is low. I don't think many people are going to be helped by those programs, but I won't say that nobody has been. I'm sure there has. I also think there's a reason why Suboxone is a cash business, just saying. But yeah, no, I agree. Abstinence is the only way to be. I do understand why anybody would differ, because I differed one time, you know? But like today, you know, I'm sure you guys kind of get this, like, you almost want to shake the person that doesn't see it that way, because it's like, no, there is a way to be completely free. You don't need a dose tomorrow morning. Like, you know, if you live this way of life, you don't need that dose. So, like, there's complete freedom out there. That being said, man, I've had discussions with people that were on maintenance programs, or, you know, being Suboxone, methadone, whatever, or, you know, the always humorous marijuana maintenance program, whatever. I remember having a close friend too, like, say, well, you know, Corey, you know, my sober and your sober just aren't the same. And I said, wrong. Sober is sober. If you're not sober, fine, dude. You don't got to lie to kick it. And I'm not saying that not everybody in recovery and in the recovery community is not going to judge you. Of course, there's human defects involved here. I know that you being on some sort of maintenance program or whatever, you just being that, you're actually down on the list of people I'm going to judge. There's plenty of people above you that I'll judge first. Really, what I think at least the three of us, and Bill included, the four of us, you know, we're going to try and love that person. I've seen it in all of us. We've all done that to a degree. Man, another guy comes to mind who I obviously won't name. But man, you know, approached a couple of us, you know, at our events and stuff, kind of looking for somebody to be his guide or whatever, but like was very honest. Like, you know, I'm on Suboxone. The place I'm at, it lets me stay on Suboxone, which, you know, kind of, I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but that's another thing that we could go back to our treatment talk on. But if you don't get my gist, I'm not a fan of it. But so this guy is like, you know, hey man, I want help. I want a spiritual guide. I want to do what you guys are doing. You know, this seems awesome, but I'm on Suboxone. The place I'm at lets me stay on it. I have a doctor, whatever. And it was like, I think I sought counsel after that conversation. I think I it might have, probably was you, Shawn, honestly, but so everything I say here was what Shawn said. I'm just kidding. I just want to put you on the hook. But I ended up going back to that kid basically after some counsel and some prayer and stuff and saying like, look, I actually don't even think that unless you're willing to devise a plan with your doctor, maybe set an end date. Point is, like, taper off of this stuff. I don't even think I'm suited to help you because that's not how I did it. And that's like the most honest to God truth is I didn't do it that way, so I don't really know how to help you there. Right.
Yeah.
Wasn't about that you can't have success. We're still gonna let you take out the trash or whatever. We're still gonna hang out with you. I still want you around. The guy was a nice kid, to be honest. I mean, he's around. He's doing fine. I think he ended up actually finding like abstinence, but totally down to be anybody's friend. But like when it comes to people like us, like we were just shown the way of like complete abstinence, so that's just that. The point is of this whole rant right now is that, like, one, if you're not abstinent, in my opinion, let's not call it sober. Let's just call it you just smoke weed now. You just drink now. I'll go to the damn bar with you. Maybe not a bar, but if there's like good food, maybe I'll go and you can have a couple. You get shit faced, I might leave. I mean, that'd be awkward, kind of. Like, I don't care to be around that regardless.
Well, if you drove them there, you couldn't leave them there shit faced. So.
Watch me. No, but my that's my biggest pet peeve. Let's not call it sober. And yeah, like Shawn said, for sure, man, don't come around acting like you're sober and then trying to help people get sober, because most of the people that you're going to come in contact with, in my experience, I think I'm not professional here, but in my experience, most of the people I've met are probably of the variety that need complete abstinence to live long and happily. So leave them the hell alone. As far as your methods, that's it. That's all. Just don't act like something you're not. That's my thing. Lastly, just to name a few, we already named Suboxone, methadone. Obviously the marijuana maintenance program, like I mentioned, but we had some, I guess it's not new, but it's semi new to me in the last few years. Kratom and Kava are taking people to the cleaners. It's hard for people, man. Let's start talking about that in society, because I mean,
the withdrawal effects from those are almost as bad, or in some cases worse than just straight up heroin.
It's legal.
And kratom makes people nuts, dude. Nuts.
Yeah. It's legal in a lot of places, and it's doing damage to families and stuff. I mean, I've seen it. We've seen it. So yeah, yet again, if you're on kratom or kava or whatever, again, like, politely shut up. We still love you. Just, let the sober people help the sober people, and you can still come bowling with us. That's fine. And we hope that you, like I said, devise a plan with your doctor to get off the stuff, because there is a life of abstinence that is very fulfilling. I truly don't think, and I mean, you guys, maybe have experienced it too, but anytime I was on like something, man, like, inside wasn't fixed. I was on Vivitrol one time. You know what Vivitrol is?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I don't even know if it's necessarily like frowned upon in the recovery community. I'm not sure.
It's not. They give it to they usually give it to people that are getting out of like a intensive rehab and going into IOP and stuff like that. It helps with cravings and whatnot.
Well, I'll really close with this. Just my Vivitrol thing real quick. I left rehab. They gave me a shot in the butt. It was supposed to last like 4 weeks. It's a blocker, so you can't get drunk on it, allegedly, and you can't get high on opiates on it. And it's supposed to reduce the cravings, or what's known as the mental obsession, really. Didn't know that then. I found out that in about 2 weeks, I was obsessing so badly that I decided, well, opiates aren't going to do anything, so I'm going to go find some crack. And then I was off to the races. And then once I was outside of that window, opiates were back, and I was back in business, boys. So that helped. That's all I got.
I will say this.
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll finish up.
I was just going to say, like, conversely, with what you were just saying, Corey, is the fact that when I was a drug addict, which we've already been through, like I had a lot of not redeemable qualities and a lot of stuff in my own life that I needed to work on. Right. If I have those other things, the Suboxone, the methadone, marijuana only ever made me paranoid, hungry, and horny. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. But but if I have the other things,
that's you right now.
Well, yeah. What do I need a spiritual life for? What do I need a God of my understanding for? What do I need to change my behavior for? I don't, because I have this that I'm getting that just makes me a somewhat level person for an 8 to 10 hour period of time. I don't have to really do anything to repair the relationships with my family or my loved ones. I can still keep a job like that for the most part, and I don't need to change anything about myself, or at least very little. The only thing I really have to change is the fact that I got to get up at 5 a.m. and go stand in the line and wait for my medicine every day.
Oh my God.
That's not a good way to live, bro. I mean, if you're living like that, dude, God bless you. I hope that you find a way out of it.
In my part of Jersey, it was a 30-minute bus. Well, no, it was more than that. It was like a 2-hour bus ride. People would get up early, get up in the city to stand in line. Crazy.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So great stuff, guys. That was an important topic. I think I'd say that we've all kind of touched on it, but one of the problems with the Suboxone maintenance plan or whatever else you got going on is that we are the type of people that will lie to ourselves over and over again about what I need. And like Greg said, like, I need this to survive, and, we'll lie to ourselves. So for the people that are truly doing it the correct way and getting off and have a plan with their doctor to wean off, bravo, more power to you. I'm with Corey. There's only so much I can do for someone that is still on some type of med of that nature. Again, not telling anyone they got to get off. But just to circle back to it, like, for someone like me, for the alcoholic of the hopeless variety that I am, the hope to die drunk, right? To drink is to die. I have to have entire abstinence because it is the only way that I can gain that spiritual connection. There are other steps that I have to go through, other, plans and recovery stuff that I have to do to get to that spiritual connection. But it has to start with the quote unquote putting the plug in the jug, stopping all the other substances, which is scary. And I don't know how to do that on my own, right? You just said it, the Vivitrol shot, not getting you high necessarily. I don't even know if it has any effect on your hormones. I'm sure it does on some level. I'm not sure if it makes you emotional, but it's inorganic.
Yeah.
It is an inorganic process. And again, if the guy down the street is taking it and he's not smoking, not doing heroin, not doing whatever, and he's okay with that, and his quality of life is he's fine, he doesn't want for any more, then cool. But for someone like me, that type of complacency and false contentment gets me stagnant, and stagnant water smells and gets flies, and I end up drunk again. So,
I mean, Greg said it too, and I just feel the need to reiterate, I guess. But like, yeah, I mean, being pushed to the table of like abstinence also pushed me to the table of bettering myself to some, not really me bettering myself, but we've already been through that whole process about how we did it with God. But, it pushed me to the table of like, you got to change things. And I have some friends that are on maintenance programs, and like, they don't listen to this, so I'm going to say it, but man, they're the same as they ever were. They're just, thank God they're not sticking a needle in their arm today, or thanks to Suboxone, I guess. But, but nothing's really improved. And like, I'd like to see that for them. I'd like to see their lives improve, really. So
quality of life. I agree.
Yeah.
So fantastic, guys. This was a good one. Shout out again to Bill. Hope he's having fun. We miss you, buddy. We'll see you next week. Shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. You can email us, Trudge Report, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. My wife just turned on the dryer. It's in the wall right next to me. Sorry if you can hear that.
No.
Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Please send some topic requests, send some questions, anything. We're open books, as you know. We'll talk about whatever we need to, and we'll make it interesting.
Shawn,
we're all here. Yeah.
Last thing, real quick. Just like we love the person that's on Suboxone or methadone, we will also love you if you'd like to come out of the closet. So,
I appreciate that.
That's a gay joke.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
We might get canceled.
That's all right.
Yes.
Don't listen to our podcast if you don't have a sense of humor.
Please.
We are all here if anyone wants to talk about recovery, our experience, or if you're struggling with any form of addiction. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night, God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week. Au revoir.
Or will we?
Adios.
So, Janine, this is where you stop the recording because we can't really get off until we spend up. So, love you guys. Corey, do you want me to text Janine or will you just tell her?
Or what?
Well, that you got on early and she's got to listen to. I'll text her.
Oh, I did. Yeah, it's fine. So just tell her it's like 16 minutes in. It's after 16 minutes in, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Love you guys. Talk soon.
All right, boys. Later. Peace.
Okay, bye.
Be good.
Love you.